animated shows have a history of changing their art styles between seasons. Batman's animated series gave the characters new designs as the show went in a different direction. Ben 10 radically changed between its original series and Omniverse, one change resulting in Gwen turning into a nerdy stereotype, and American Dragon made its main Asian character look a little more white. But while all these things happened between different seasons of each of their respective shows, I've never seen a show radically change their art style between episodes. Until now. Straight away as we start the episode, you can see that the art has taken on a softer tone, making Stripperella look like someone that Captain Hero from Drawn Together would have dated. It's a shame that the dialogue, however,
don't say anything stupid, don't say anything stupid. I like lettuce.
Hasn't changed a bit. I'm not really sure how making your art style more kid-friendly is supposed to help when one of your villains was literally called Queen Clitoris.
I don't get to date much. Strippers hours.
It's great you're so honest about what you do.
You know, I'm beginning to think that the artists for the show didn't understand that strippers can wear non-revealing clothing when they're not on stage. Or are they just taking that song from the producers a little too far?
When you go teeth, long teeth.
I've dated girls in the past who kept a lot of secrets. It was almost like they were living a double life.
Oh, really?
Why yes, this show really is doing something this generic 7 episodes in. Despite the fact that for 6 episodes it's already been doing this plot line, with Stripperella having to hide her secret identity from everyone else in the strip club. And look, they even do the main character slips away to change and be told what happens when they return cliche. Because, you know, when you have a premise that's a stripper turned secret agent, it's best to do plot lines that would make even Spider-Man say,
"This is starting to sound like a bad comic book plot."
So after the new intro, which is slightly better as it uses actual clips from the show instead of scenes that never happen, which we all now know will get you sued by an idiot and his lawyer brother, we meet this week's villain.
Hey, you're not my bride.
That's right. I'm never the bride. I'm always the bridesmaid.
And we can now add Kathy Griffin onto the list of people who won't be putting this show on their resume.
What do you want?
I want to get married. But if I can't, then no one will. You may now kiss the bridesmaid.
You know, when the Rhymer from Super Ninjas seems like a more coherent and competent villain, you've got problems. The bridesmaid escapes by grappling Rose through the roof, where oddly the metal breaks the same as the glass. Because, as you'll remember, that's not an animation error, that's intentional adult humour. It's fucking bullshit, it's what it is. At the strip club, we see a pair of patrons looking as confused as the audience, before suddenly being perfectly fine with a stripper pretending to be a pirate. And that's a sentence I just said. Of course, with this show, I'm willing to bet there's something far stupider.
I just wish I didn't have to lie to him all the time.
Lie to him about what?
Oh, I told him that I used to be a man. Oh, you should tell him the truth. He'll still like you even if he finds out you've never been a man.
Because as you'll see, the entire B-plot for this episode is Erotica dealing with having to keep secrets from her boyfriend. Because, yeah, that's what the audience for this show were wanting. Stripperella's relationship issues. Also, why is a character who appeared black in an earlier episode now pale as snow? I mean, we talk about whitewashing in media, but that's just ridiculous. Being the most efficient agency in the world, Stripperella was called in to stop the bridesmaid, after she's already kidnapped 4 people. Which would be more surprising if the scene hadn't started with this.
Chief? What are you doing?
I'm just taking some sexy boudoir photographs to surprise the wife with on Valentine's Day.
But Valentine's Day was 2 months ago.
Right. Thank God I'm not married.
It's not funny. There's nothing funny about that.
And as the show needs to kill time, we get a montage of the bridesmaid doing nothing new.
That old parlor trick. We can top that.
But, like before, it can always be stupider.
Baker, Richards, Aikanawa, Debert, B-R-I-D. She's spelling bridesmaid.
Okay, first off, why? Why in the world would she be trying to spell out the word bridesmaid? It has literally no link back to anything she's doing. Secondly, despite this show's half-assed attempt to use that as a later plot point, it's pointless, as all they need is a wedding for her to appear at. And finally, the only plausible reason I can think to have this in the episode is to try and make Stripperella look intelligent. Unfortunately, it's ruined by this.
It's a good thing you're here, Ozzy. Otherwise, I would have no reason to explain everything out loud.
Because constantly calling out your exposition does not a good show make. Going to a wedding, because, no duh, Stripperella confronts the bridesmaid.
Do you like my bouquet?
Stripperella, look out! Those flowers are...
And is then immediately knocked out, despite having a perfect hold on both her arms in the previous shot. You know, for a show where every episode is only around 20 minutes long, its animation errors should not end up in the double digits.
What's the matter, lassie? You look sadder than a pair of old bagpipes.
Oh, good God! Who are you, and what the hell is wrong with your eyes?
Persephone, how come I never noticed you have a Scottish accent before?
Wait, that's supposed to be Persephone? Huh. Apparently she switched skins with that other character, who I also gave no shits about. And in contrast about her eyes, look at this shot where they forget to draw the bags underneath them. The difference is astounding.
We've figured out the identity of the bridesmaid. Her name is Molly Lumpkin. She was a bridesmaid in over 35 weddings last year alone.
And then there's her sister Lurleen's singing career taking off. Her whole life is just a mess. So really show her whole reason for revenge is poor choices on her part and crappy timekeeping. Good God, at least Queen Clitoris had a somewhat vague and understandable reason for her revenge. This is just dumb, even by your standards.
We need to find out where she's keeping those grooms. She may be planning on killing them, or worse.
What's worse than killing them?
She may actually marry them.
Chief? I don't think that's worse than killing.
Clearly, you've never been married.
Nope, too easy. Not gonna touch it. So, doing what they kind of should have just done straight away, Stripperella decides to fake a wedding.
And we're about to give you an STD.
Don't worry guys, by this point in time, she's way ahead of you. Both Erotika's co-workers and boyfriend find out about the wedding, which results in him leaving her, because yes, we are going to hit every single cliche here like a plot-based Titanic, which once again makes me wonder, given the audience for this show, who the hell cares?
What do you want?
What do I want? I just want to get married before I'm 40! Is that too much to ask? I've been in 226 weddings and not one of them was mine!
I refuse to believe that anyone could have over 200 different friends who would ask them to be a bridesmaid at their wedding. Not unless, of course, it was some cruel practical joke. But even then, why would you keep saying yes after the first 50? The question you were being asked is not, are you a god?
Something borrowed, something blue. I don't want to marry you! Prepare to die!
Oh, right. Kill the black guy first. That's original.
Well, they haven't been original anywhere else. Why start here? Speaking of which...
Erotica! Erotica!
You are literally a decade late on that reference. Because Wayne's World 2 already did it far better.
Cassandra! 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 Oh, hi. Sorry, everybody. Wrong wedding.
Twice.
Getting away!
Stop, don't come back.
All right, bridesmaid. Where are the rest of the grooms?
I am not the bridesmaid. I am the evil French maid. The bridesmaid is one room over. We split the rent to keep things affordable.
Oh, sorry.
What? I have to laugh at this at some point. A chase ensues with the bridesmaid trying to force Erotika's boyfriend to say I do, which honestly just seems like a really easy way out of this situation. I mean, seriously, what is she going to do afterwards? Take him to court? And of course, after saving her boyfriend, Erotika switches back, only to learn that he now loves Stripperella, and not her. Thus bringing us to the end with another Who the hell cares? This episode is baffling, even by Stripperella standards. It's insultingly bland, hitting every tired hallmark of a superhero story with no attempts to be original or even understand its audience. Did they really think that Erotica's dating issues was something that a young male audience was going to find interesting? Especially given that the relationship was so tame, despite being in a show where innuendo is heavy and subtlety is low. Though, if she had done anything to him, I imagine he'd have fallen over, being the cardboard cutout that he is. Interestingly though, this bare-bones relationship does signal a shift in the show itself, as all throughout this episode there was no real explicit nudity, and the innuendos were more bearably light, perhaps showing the writer's mentality to try and draw in a more varied audience, hoping to grab a section of female viewers that they hadn't yet tapped. Which would be fine. This episode didn't kind of have a body-shaming slant to it, as the bridesmaid's design is intended to be this unattractive plus-sized woman, which seems to be the only reason the show gives for her not being married, against Stripperella, who's thin and made out to be extremely attractive. I'm not saying that this was intentional, it's just the product of lazy writing. There was no thought put into the bridesmaid's design, when really it would have been funnier if the bridesmaid was conventionally attractive, having that be why she gets invited to so many weddings and has never had time to date herself. A simple tale of someone trying to be nice until they eventually snap. Really, it's not hard to see where depth and personality could have been injected into this show and its characters to really make everything a lot more interesting. The only problem is, I've watched the rest of this show now, and now I've seen every single episode, and I can tell you this change in art style does not signal an improvement in the show overall. In fact, I would actually say this change in art style signals when the writers decided to collect their paychecks, get up, and go home. And we'll talk about more of that later with another one of these videos, but for now, I've been Simon, and I'll see you next time.